G-Boss is the name when you're kupata. I currently work somewhere here in Nairobi as a lawyer in my day job. I'm licensed to practice, I'm an advocate, but today the most important thing is I'm going to be telling you guys how I got started in crypto. So this goes back all the way to my days in campus, right? I passed high school, got a chance to join law school, University of Nairobi School of Law, Parklands, a few years back. In 2014 is when I was in my first year. So as usual, if you've been in university as a Kenyan, you know how it goes with your parents, right? You take, especially as a man, they take care of you only up to a certain point. So it got to this point where when you call you, unapigia mzaya kutumia do, mzaya anakutumia kaso, like, and then you're wondering, shit, how a nigga finna survive in these cold campus streets, yeah? How a nigga even finna buy a blunt? How a nigga even finna buy a drink? Like, you're broke as fuck and you start thinking of ways to make money, even to get yourself basics like airtime. You've seen a nice pair of kicks, you wanna cop them, things like that. So that's how I got introduced into online writing. I was in second year, I think. It was around 2017. Another really interesting story of how I got to where I got, but I had moved out. I wasn't staying in school, and I had started online writing, basically kufanyia wazungu assignments. But kufanyia wazungu assignment imepatia watu wengi sana pesa, hapa Kenya pesa. People have done tons of investments and made tons of money, especially the guys who started out really early in the 08s or 9s, 2010s. The millionaires, you can't tell them shit, but I digress. Let me get back on track. I started writing so that I could just get a few more coins on the side to supplement myself. Besides that, I was also playing hockey at that time, and the team I was playing for was being sponsored by the famous Chase Bank. So I used to get game allowance, I used to get training allowance, and then on top of that, I'm on my grind doing online writing. So I wasn't staying in school, right? I had moved out, I was staying outside, and it got to a point around 2017 December when I had this series of tasks that involved me doing a lot of research into the global financial crash of 2008. Some of you in here were too young. I was also quite young. I really didn't feel the pinch, but yeah, apparently, if you've done a bit of reading, you know that in 2008, things collapsed. The same way things collapsed right after COVID, but almost worse. Yeah, people lost a lot of money. A lot of banks went under. A lot of financial institutions went under. The whole economy globally was thrown in turmoil. Stocks crashed. But at that time, a beautiful thing that came out of the 2008 financial crash was Bitcoin. But let's not go ahead of ourselves. So in 2017, when I was doing research about the global financial crash, in order for me to accomplish these assignments, I kept on bumping repeatedly into that word, Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Somehow, vaguely at the back of my mind and in my research, it used to pop by me, but since I was so busy, I was only in tune with trying to churn out as many assignments as I can, so that I get paid. I really didn't pay so much attention to it, but it was towards the end of 2017, I remember, and if you are in law school, or if you know anyone who is in law school, they'll tell you that part of the things you have to do in order to graduate is at the end of your 4-year period, you have to write a thesis. You have to do research. Lazima uoneshe umeiva research, like all those books you've been chopping. You can synthesize and break them down into something that is tangible, that's something that is factual, something that is investigative. Basically, show your mettle as a lawyer, right? What happened is I was really disinterested in school at that time in 2017 because there had been a series of lecturer strikes. We were out of school. Also explain part of the reason why I was outside, staying outside and grinding, right? I had been disinterested in school and I had really fallen behind. Yo, Banner Boy, Hit like, Bana. Hit like. Please follow Banner Boy, and you guys follow me for all the guys who are still in here. I'll be following you back, but right as we continue with this interesting story. Share out the link as much as you can. Before I forget, I was talking about how I had kind of fallen off track in the year 2017. We were staying with people like Banner Boy. Banner Boy knows the story from right from where we got started. Yeah. So yeah, I was staying outside and grinding at that time. I was supposed to have been doing my LLB thesis. There's something you do called a research paper, and then after the research paper, you write a dissertation, right? But by the time I got to third year, when we were doing them, the dissertation wasn't really compulsory. You could do the research paper and leave it at that. And me being a bare minimum nigger, sometimes when I'm looking at ROI, I had already not only been too tired to even follow up on a dissertation, I was out of a topic for what to write on, right? But then this is 2017, and fast forward to 2018 now, early 2018, and the pressure of graduating now starts hitting you a good one. Hey, they used to have this saying, UN, kuingia UN si shida. Shida ni kutoka. Oh shit, now reality starts hitting me. I am supposed to be graduating this year. I am behind on some of my units. I have not even written my research paper, leave alone dissertation. So here you have motherfuckers who did their research paper in second year. They have done their first dissertation. Now they are doing a follow-up dissertation. Shit. But the worst part about it, I was bored with the topic that I had and the supervisor that I had been assigned, and I was really at a loss. Then I just remembered, again, I think it was something divine, or maybe the universe or God was speaking to me, I would say. Bitcoin again kept on flashing at the back of my mind. At that time, I remember that's when I started Googling. Coincidentally, when I was in class bored, thinking about how I'm supposed to be doing this research paper that I have no topic for. Start Googling Bitcoin. At that time, the concept was a little bit too complex for me, right? But it got stuck at the back of my mind, and I thought, hey, if I am going to struggle writing this 50, 60, 70 page thesis, then why don't I narrow down on something that I really truly love and something that I can start researching on, right? So let me just also now bring it back to where I was staying in 2017. When I made some bit of money in 2017, and I think in January 2018, I moved out. January 2018 is actually a significant year for Bitcoin and Bitcoiners, because around that time, the price point was, I would say, give or take, we'll confirm on CoinMarketCap, but Bitcoin was less than $3,700, and the exchange rate wasn't fucked up. So basically, Bitcoin moja ilikuwa around 370k around that time. So I move in 2018 to where I'm staying currently, and guess what? I meet my next door neighbor. I find out this guy is a software developer, and not only a software developer, this guy has been buying cryptocurrencies, right? This is around the time when there was a boom in something called ICOs. ICOs were the first way in which, one of the novel ways in which people used to raise money through cryptocurrencies. So an ICO, let me just dumb it down. Think of an ICO as an IPO, right? It's an initial sale of cryptocurrencies, the very first time when cryptocurrencies are created and they're sold out to the public. So people are rushing. In crypto lingo, it's called aping. People are aping in to buy early so that they can ride on the price increase and sell at a profit, right? So the ICO boom of 2017, early to mid 2018, really made people a lot of money. It is around that time when coins like Cardano got launched. I remember seeing Cardano being launched, but at that time, I really didn't have so much nuance of crypto. I really didn't have an understanding of the financial aspect of it and how you could use it to leverage and make life-changing type of money. But I was observing my next door neighbor every day buying botis. Banner Boy, if he's still in the stream, can confirm. Yeah, he was called Anto. And so I was just buying booties, and then now he taught me basics about crypto. He basically now put me on an explainer, and things started getting easier for me. He taught me about an app called CoinMarketCap, which is an index that tracks all cryptocurrency activity, right? He taught me about Cointelegraph, which is a news outlet on Telegram that you guys can use to get information, right? And I just got more and more interested. Every morning I would wake up, the first thing I check is CoinMarketCap. I just see how cryptos are moving. And by that time, there was not as much money in crypto. Oh, Lotir. Karibu Akili. Confirm for these people that I am certified to practice. Post in the comment section, but let me get back before I digress. Time is also running out. Around that time, the crypto market was so volatile. I remember in total worth, it was about, around that time, that's when the bull run was starting up from around $3,700 for Bitcoin, less than $300 for an Ethereum, right? Stick with me because this story gets more interesting from this point. That's around the same time when you would see in the morning, you wake up on CoinMarketCap, you see a coin has shot up 40%, 50%, 60%. You go to bed the next morning, you wake up, the coin is red, 80%. A ton of people, especially who are traders, leveraged on this because they had mastered the mechanics of buying low and selling high. They made millions. I personally know some guy who has 1,000 Bitcoin in his wallet, plus 1,000 Bitcoin plus that he made around that time, right? So it made a lot of people a lot of profit at that time who were already knowledgeable and had the risk and the guts to invest. So fast forward, I'm telling you guys now how I started writing my thesis, and now I had made up my mind, and I was just thinking about it, reading slowly and making up, gathering more information because it was quite abstract. I didn't even have a topic, but I was just busy doing my thing out there, knowing at the back of my mind that this is likely to be what I'm going to be writing on. Of course, as usual, procrastinating small while still kicking the can down the road and doing other things. But then, fast forward to around May, right? I was involved in student leadership and student politics a lot. Long story for another day, but I was in charge of student leadership at the University of Nairobi School of Law at that time, right? And towards the end of my tenure, I was thinking, what kind of legacy do I want to leave, regardless of the difficulties and the circumstances and all the setbacks? So I thought maybe I'm going to do 1 week of events to just try and expose guys to, the outside world there, and just have them know that there's more to life than just being in law school. Now, it was a series of events, talks, debates, blah, blah, blah. But on the final day, on Friday, also out of my selfish interest, I decided to hold a blockchain awareness day. This story literally gets interesting at this point. By deciding to hold a blockchain awareness day, I now had to start looking for, typical of an event, you have to start looking for eminent speakers. I do a bit of research on the Kenyan blockchain space. The first person I find, Professor Bitange Ndemo. Really cool guy, had been in the ICT ministry. He was really influential in bringing up internet into Kenya. And around that time also, something that I have not mentioned, I had also been attending a ton of blockchain meetups, also just starting to get to know people. It's also going to marry into the story. So I invite the first person, Professor Bitange Ndemo. Lucky thing, he was already in the University of Nairobi faculty. I was in student leadership. I just looked for his number, one call, and the guy said he would come. Next, I reached out to the guys from Moringa. At that time, Moringa had just launched their coding academy, and now this is something that I was also a bit on and researching on, since I am a commercial and tech lawyer, and I already had thought of going into those lines. So I invited these guys. Then I also look up some people. A very interesting story again. There is this coin called EOS back in 2017. EOS is really significant in the history of crypto because EOS raised record money out of an ICO. ICO basically, at that time, ICOs contributed to the meteoric rise in the price of Ethereum because at that time, ICOs were only being conducted in either Bitcoin or Ethereum. But it got to a point where FOMO was so much, things were so hot on Bitcoin, the network was getting clogged. So what was the next alternative that people could use to pay for these things? Ethereum. People started aping into Ethereum, right? And Ethereum was the only other coin that people were using. So you take your Ethereum, deposit in a smart contract, send proof that you've deposited in a smart contract to these people, and then the coins would be, or whatever other coin you had been buying would be remitted to your wallet. So it is this process that EOS used to raise $4 billion fucking dollars. Historic. No one has ever matched that amount. They had this guy, a CEO called Dan Larimer, who everyone in crypto thought was like Jesus and he was going to change the world and whatnot. But yeah, I digress. Oh my God, how far has this story gone? Oh shit. Oh, mama. I'll be talking about my top 3 coins some other time. Today I'm talking about the history of how I got started. So, Lysergic banger, please stay around. Yes, I'm getting sidetracked, but yeah, I was telling you guys about how I'd invited guys to come and talk about crypto and blockchain at an event that I was running in school, courtesy of my position in student leadership, right? So now when these people came, the guys from EOS didn't make it. Apparently they had traveled to China for something. When these guys came back, the event went on successfully. Professor Bitange and Demo came. I invited so many of my friends, but fortunately or unfortunately, less than 20 people were there. We did it in the boardroom, and the guys from Moringa did a lot of good explaining. People gained a lot of value. This just served to help me double down on my resolve that this is what I was going to be jumping into. Fast forward 2 weeks later after that event, right? And the guys from EOS who didn't make it to the event, shout out Kina Daniel Kimodo, they know this story. These guys come back and they reach out. They're like, hey, man, we didn't come to your event, but now we're back in the country. We are going to be holding another event this Saturday. We are going to have some lawyers from the Bahamas. You should come. And me, I'm someone who jumps on opportunity without thinking twice. I was like, yeah, this is just another cool opportunity for me to go meet people, eat. So I'm in Campo, I'm starving and I'm thin like no one's business. Eat free snacks. Yeah. Just network and get to know people and learn more. So we went and we turned out that there was a mini hackathon of sorts actually at this event, and there was something that people were doing to build a sort of digital asset framework. Another very long story, but this is where I bumped into another guy who is the CEO of one of the companies that I used to work for. This guy is a lawyer from the Bahamas and really cool guy. He's a top G, 100% child. You know, the energy just matched and we became friends. Apparently, turns out he had come to Kenya to start a blockchain company, right? He was looking to do a crowdfunding platform for SMEs. So, you know, we just got on talking and I started helping him with research, you know, just on a volunteer basis, actually. We used to meet at the Mirage. Back then, there was a restaurant there called Irish something. They are closed down right now, but that's why we used to meet, have breakfast, and just do our research and do whatever we used to talk about. Turns out at that time, the research we did drove us into something else and other findings. And the moment things started getting a bit serious 2 months later after that, that's when I started earning a stipend. This is around May, June, July. This is around July of 2018. I'm about 4 months away from graduation. I started earning a stipend in crypto. You do know how cool it felt earning about $250. You're in campus. You also have other gigs going on for you. So you're not badly off, you're not shabbily off, but the coolest part is you're earning in crypto. It just made up my mind for me that time. So I had to be smart. I went and looked for another supervisor. There's this guy who's a lecturer at the University of Nairobi called Love Hunter Wongo. Someone is saying this is lies. Hey, choose to believe what you want. But this is when now I decided to double down. Okay, I had already doubled down, but I decided to triple down now. I looked for a supervisor. presented a thesis whereby I was going to write on the possibility of taxation of digital assets. And I got to work and started researching. It took me about a week to lock myself up in my crib, finish up on all the research, the first draft. Yeah, at this time, my former CEO, helped me out again with doing the review because he was a lawyer, licensed to practice also in Canada. I got done with it, and yes, so this is going to be the end of the first part. If you think the first part is interesting, then the second part is even going to be more interesting. I'm going to be doing these live streams as much as possible. I'm going to be sharing this content out on other platforms. So follow me everywhere that you can. I'm going to be seeing you guys every day. So this is the end of the story just for today, but let's look forward to part 2 and I'll tell you guys more. Peace.